Aphorism. An aphorism is an original thought, spoken or written in a laconic, concise, and memorable form. Aphorism literally means a distinction or definition. In modern usage, an aphorism is generally understood to be a concise statement containing a subjective truth or observation, cleverly and pithily written. This definition comes from aphorismlist.com. Essentially, an aphorism is a short, clever observation or statement of truth. It's used in both everyday speech and in writing. In particular, philosophers oftentimes use it to summarize some idea that they're trying to get across. The key aspects of an aphorism are that they are short and concise, they are clever observations or statements of truth, and they are used in both everyday speech and in writing, and in particular in philosophy. Let's move on to examples, because as I say, brevity is the soul of wit. This last example that I gave, brevity is the soul of wit, is an aphorism. As you can see, it is a simple truth, simply conveying the fact that a shorter statement is oftentimes more clever and witty than is one that is longer and more drawn out. And it is compact, being an aphorism itself, only using 6 words. The next example is one that is used more commonly in everyday speech. Easy come, easy go. It's yet again a simple truth, saying simply that the more easily something is obtained or more easily something comes to you, the more easily it is lost or the easily it goes. This idea is even more compactly said than the previous one, only using 4 words. And this one is in pop culture, being used in both the song Grenade and in Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. My next example is one from philosophy. Youth is a blunder, manhood a struggle, old age regret, by Benjamin Disraeli. This is a compact form of a very complex idea that encompasses the entirety of a human lifespan. The idea that when you are young, you make mistakes, you struggle to keep going as a man, and you regret what you've done when you get older. This could easily be used as the summary of a much longer work, say an essay or other lengthy work by a philosopher explaining why this is true. And this could be used simply as the summary at the end. It's also much easier to understand than a longer work that may use much more complex ideas, as it's easier to remember and it's easier to digest for the reader. My final example, another one from philosophy, is The Simplest Questions Are the Hardest to Answer by Crawford-Paree. This is a clearly stated observation that is easily understood. It says what it means and doesn't extrapolate excessively, which could confuse some readers. It could be used at the beginning of a philosophical writing to cause the reader to think about the statements and the following writing be either in support or against it, or it could be used to summarize a writing that describes this idea. The overall effects and uses of aphorisms are that they can be used to summarize points and simplify a more complex idea, as they are more easily remembered and understood. They're important for making points in philosophical writings, as summaries or thesis statements. They're used in everyday speech through cliches and other sayings. And if the statement is not simple, it can cause thought in the reader. An example of this is, "He who pays the piper calls the tune." It's simple and compact, and conveys a truth, which makes it an aphorism. However, it also doubles as a metaphor. This means that it is not as easily understood as other aphorisms may be. And as such, being a more simple statement, though, makes it easier for the reader to stop and think about it and decide what they believe and what it applies to. I hope that this made it much easier to understand aphorisms and what they are. Thank you for listening.